Hey there, it's Emma. Welcome to my channel. Today I am going to share with you what we eat in a week. I'm going to bring you along with me as I prepare meals for our family of 4. We have 16-month-old twins. The boys are eating lots of food these days, and this is just some of the quick, easy meals that we enjoy on a regular basis. So join me in the kitchen. Here I am just putting together some spices. I looked up a recipe for like a chicken thigh rub, and it's a lot of different spices just all mixed together. I will see if I can link it and put it in the description box below. And I ended up having a lot extra spice left over, which will be great for another day. So I've just got my chicken thighs here and just gonna pat them dry so that the seasoning sticks a little bit better, and we will pop those in the oven and have some roasted chicken thighs. This is something that's super quick and easy because you can kind of just put it and then pop it in the oven right before you're ready for dinner. So I like to even prepare these things sometimes earlier in the day if I can, keep them in the fridge and then pop them in the oven right before I kind of know the timing that my husband will be home for dinner. To go with these chicken thighs, I just steamed a bag of broccoli. We get these bags from Costco, and I think they're super convenient and that they taste really good, really fresh. Even though it's frozen, it's like freshly frozen. So we do this honestly quite regularly for a vegetable side. And then I had some rice that was cooked already and in the fridge. So just heated that up and made a simple dinner. So really all I had to prepare on this day was the chicken thighs and then kind of just warm up some other items, which is often what happens when I like to make larger meals so that there's leftovers for other days. Another day this week, I made venison chili. And so I was just cutting up some peppers and onions. And one way I like to do my meal planning and cooking is I just write what I think I will make on the fridge. And oftentimes it actually is different than that. But then as I just go through my day, I can peek at the fridge, see what I have planned for dinner. And if the boys are giving me, moments where they're playing better or something, I might try to prep something for dinner earlier in the day. So I was actually doing this cutting earlier in the day after breakfast, but then didn't finish making the meal until a little bit later. And that's common, and that's helpful to me to just use those little pockets of time that show up throughout the day to get things prepared for dinner, because sometimes that hour before dinner is not the best time of the day to be in the kitchen and working. It can be a harder time as a mom. So I like to do those things at different times in the day if I can. We eat a lot of venison. My husband is an avid hunter, and so this year we've processed 3 deer together. And when I say together, I mean he did all of the heavy lifting of that, but then once we had all of kind of the scrap meat or meat that wasn't great for using as steaks, we processed that into ground venison, mixing it with some pork. And so we have a lot of ground venison in our freezer that we like to pull from. It's great for chili like I'm making here. Also, we really like it for tacos or sloppy joes. We've done burgers with it as well. And so it's really an awesome thing to have on hand. So this recipe I will link below. It is probably one of my favorite venison chili recipes. Now, I haven't had many other venison chili recipes, but even to some other chilies, I would prefer this. It's just really great. It has beer in it, which is an ingredient I have not had in any other chilies that I know of, but I think it helps to cut any gaminess of the venison. So I will link it below if you have ground venison and you want to give it a try. I like to rinse the beans before I put them in. I guess I don't know if that is what you're supposed to do, but that is what I like to do. What I love about making meals like this is they most certainly last for more than one day. This feeds us for at least 2 or 3 meals for our family. I forgot to video what it looks like with sour cream and cheese topped on it, but you can imagine what a beautiful, delicious bowl of chili looks like. Then on the next day, I took some sourdough pizza crusts out of the freezer. I like to make these and just pop them in the freezer so that I have something quick and easy to go. I mix this dough up in my KitchenAid mixer, and then it rises, and then I just shape it into balls, wrap it in saran wrap, and pop it in the freezer for another day. We typically do 2 at a time, but my husband wasn't going to be home for dinner, so I prepped both of these and then cooked one for dinner for me and the boys, and one I saved for the next day's lunch, which was really nice to have all ready to go. I just had to pop it in the oven. So just rolling them out, I use marinara sauce for the pizza sauce, and then I topped with fresh mozzarella cheese. So we kept it relatively simple. I do really like to do like barbecue chicken pizzas. That's probably one of my favorites. So if I cook a whole chicken, or we get like a rotisserie chicken from Costco and we have some extra, I'll pull that chicken off, and then I do barbecue sauce as the sauce. I put chicken on it, mozzarella cheese, and then I like to use green onions, red onions, and cilantro on it, and that is probably one of my favorite homemade pizzas to make. The pizza crust recipe that I follow is from Lisa Bass at Farmhouse on Boone. I'll link that recipe in the description box below. And then it is cooked at 375 for like 15 minutes or so. And it's just such a yummy crust. I really like it. And then I just chopped up some romaine lettuce for a small little Caesar salad for myself. Another meal I rely on often is just a vegetable, a starch like potatoes or rice or quinoa, and a meat or protein. A lot of the time that is Brussels sprouts or steamed broccoli like I did earlier in the week. And then I like to cook my Brussels sprouts just in a pan on the stove. And I just kind of use some avocado oil, salt, and pepper to season those, and I use a lid to kind of steam them a little bit more. Here I am going to roast some sweet potatoes for this meal. So we will have Brussels sprouts, roasted sweet potatoes, and steak. I find cooking sweet potatoes this way is just one of the easiest ways, and my boys absolutely love sweet potatoes like this. And so I put them in a 425-degree oven for about an hour. It depends on the size of the sweet potato. Obviously, the smaller the sweet potato, the less time. But usually it takes at least a half hour to 40 minutes, if not almost close to an hour for larger sweet potatoes. I just will check it periodically with a fork or a knife to see that it is soft all the way through. I am getting our steak into a bit of a marinade. I just am putting some olive oil, Worcestershire sauce, lemon juice, garlic, salt, pepper, and rosemary in a gallon Ziploc bag, and gonna stick this in the marinade and then get it in the fridge for a few hours before cooking these up. It's another day in the kitchen, and today for dinner I am making carnitas. This is a family favorite for sure. The boys love it, and we use this meat often to do like taco bowls, which is how we are going to have it for dinner tonight. So I use my Instant Pot, and I just turn on the saute function on it, which is a super cool function. I used some lard in there and got that heating up, and then just used salt and pepper on this pork. At Costco, you can get a really large pork shoulder, and I will get that, and I can cut that into, it's already cut into 2 large pieces, but then I cut those large pieces in half again, and I get about 4 meals from that one large piece of meat. And then I chunk it into smaller pieces, and then I freeze those 4 different portions in the freezer, or sometimes just freeze 3 and keep 1 for using right away in a meal. And then I can just pull it out, thaw it, and then I have everything I need for this meal. This sauce that I'm putting together, it's called a Mojo sauce. It's just orange juice, beer, lime juice, which I didn't have on hand, and so I used lemon juice, which it turned out just fine. And then 6 cloves of garlic, a teaspoon of salt, and half a teaspoon of pepper, and a teaspoon of oregano. This is what gets poured over the pork to cook it in the Instant Pot. And this is just a really yummy sauce and gives the meat a really good flavor. I'll link the recipe that I use in the description box below if you want to give it a try. You sear the sides of the pork in the Instant Pot, and then the meat is cooked in the Instant Pot, which is super convenient. So I like this because I just have to get the one insert of the Instant Pot messy for making this. pour the Mojo sauce on it, turn it on to high pressure, and set the Instant Pot for 30 minutes. It will take longer than that because your Instant Pot has to come up to pressure, which takes usually like 15 minutes, I think, and then it'll do 30 minutes of cooking, and this is followed by a natural release, and so it just will slowly release that pressure. A lot of the time I leave it in there a lot longer, even a couple of hours. Sometimes I start this in the morning, and then when I'm ready for dinner, I'll just pull out the meat, put it onto a sheet pan, and kind of shred it apart, add a little bit more of the sauce to keep it moist, and then stick it under the broiler for a few minutes to get it all crispy. Sometimes I'll kind of stir it up in the oven so that both sides of it get crispy. But this is really a delicious way to just get that crispy carnitas at home. We love to use the carnitas to make taco bowls, and so I'm putting some rice in the Instant Pot. There is a rice button. I like to cook it for 8 minutes on rice. This is a long grain white rice. We just got a really big bag of it from Costco. I did 2 cups of rice with 4 cups of water, so it's a 1-to-2 ratio. We like to top this with fresh cilantro, salsa, sour cream. Usually we also do cheese and avocado if we have it, but I didn't have those on hand, so we just kept it really simple tonight. This is one of our boys' favorite meals. They love taco bowls like this. Well, those are some of the meals we ate this week in our household. I hope it inspired you or gave you some new ideas for dinner. I know I'm always intrigued by what other people eat for dinner, and it gives me new ideas of things I've never thought to make before. I will see you next week for another video. Thanks for stopping by our Montessori kitchen. Have a great day.